Is Bitcoin ready for a new all-time high this week? Guys, it's very simple. This is never ever the question that as a trader we should ask ourselves. As a trader, we should ask ourselves the following question. Is there a potential high probability trade setup being developed currently on the Bitcoin price? Or does the Bitcoin price has to do some moves in order to give me a trigger to start looking for a high probability long or short setup? Now, right now, when we look at the Bitcoin chart, what we can see on the higher time frame, guys, is that Bitcoin is simply still range bound, okay? And as long as Bitcoin is range bound, we are going to trade this range until it breaks. Does that mean that Bitcoin cannot squeeze higher to a new all-time high and beyond from here this week? No, it definitely can. Does it mean that we should blindly long the price of Bitcoin right over here with a stop loss beneath a local low and target 100K from here for Bitcoin? Obviously, it doesn't mean that. It means that, yes, we can squeeze to an all-time high. Yes, the daily trend is up. Yes, the weekly trend is up. Yes, the 4-hour trend is up. All trends are up. And yes, we are close to a new all-time high. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to go straight to a new all-time high without offering a pullback first. But more importantly, even that, guys, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we are going to find ourselves a high probability long or short setup. Right now, obviously, a long setup. Why? Because the weekly trend is up, because the daily trend is up, and because the 4-hour trend is up. Very simple. As a trader, we always want to trade with the trend and never against the trend. Now, besides the trend, we can see that we have a clean range to work with, okay? If I go to the lower time frame, to the 4-hourly chart, what can we see? We can see that we have ourselves this range with a range pivot 1, range pivot 2, 3, and 4 over here, range pivot number 5, and then over here we have our all-time high, which is range pivot number 6. Look at the respect of the mid-range, really trying to hold the price of Bitcoin. Look at the respect of the quarterly level, really trying to hold the price of Bitcoin every single time. So we have ourselves a high probability range. Now, when we zoom in more locally to this local price section over here, what can we see, guys? We can see that we have been building up quite some lows towards the upside over here, as we can see, right? And this can mean two things. It can either mean that we are building up pressure towards the upside, and that pressure is going to lead indeed towards a squeeze towards a new all-time high, or it means that we are building up liquidity to the downside, and at some point Bitcoin is going to take out that sales liquidity before potentially reversing back towards the upside again. Now, this pressure over here, let's say we are indeed building up the pressure towards the upside, right? Is this something that I would really like to trade? No. Why? Because I'm the kind of trader that always says that I always want to enter where other people are getting stopped out of their position, right? And right now, when I analyze this local price section, I can see a very interesting fake break of structure over here. I can see another very interesting fake break of structure over here, and I can see another interesting fake break of structure over here. Now, what are these fake break of structures doing? I've been explaining this many times. These fake break of structures, they're engineering liquidity because people are opening up breakout long positions over here or on this pullback. Where are these people going to put their stop loss? They're going to put their stop beneath a low that initiated that impulse that gave us a break of structure. Same over here. This low over here initiated that impulse that gave us this fake break of structure. But this is the low that the breakout long positions are going to use to cover their stop loss, right? Over here, another low that gave us a fake break of structure, which means that right now I've identified 3 different lows, and these 3 different lows are containing a lot of sell-side liquidity. As I've told you, I'm only interested in longs once people are getting stopped out of their position. So we have a lot of people that have opened up longs on this price action over here, and in my opinion, their stops, their liquidity is resting inside of this area over here. Now, why is that quite nice? When we look at the local price section based off this range, right? We can see that we have been getting some perfect retests over here of this mid-range. Once, twice, 3 times. Now, you guys know that I don't like these perfect retests. I only like to play these perfect retests if we have a valid inducement above this mid-range level. Or when we want to look for shorts, if we have a valid inducement below the mid-range level. Right now, we didn't have any inducement. We simply gave it a perfect retest and we bounced from it a few times, right? Now, usually, these perfect retests, they are designed to also engineer liquidity. What I do like to play is a deviation below certain key range levels that are being followed up by a reclaim with a break of structure and a retest to play higher targets. That is something I do really like, especially if we have these perfect retests over here that are engineering liquidity beneath the mid-range. So right now, it means that I'm simply going to wait for a push beneath the mid-range level. And this is the area where I'm slowly going to start to become interested in potential longs. And what I really like when I only apply the lowest liquidity low is that beneath the liquidity is where we have this previous supply area that could now be acting as demand. What does it mean? It means that we are looking at a potential bullish breaker. Why are we looking at a bullish breaker? Because we have this bullish hour 4 fair value gap exactly aligning with our breaker block, which means that this bullish hour 4 breakaway gap, this bullish fair value gap, is confirming the area of support. Now, we are looking at a high probability breaker block. What's the second reason why we are looking at a high probability breaker block? Because of this liquidity low that is aligning right above the breaker block, which means that we have a valid inducement exactly above the breaker, which is exactly what we want to see. Also, look how the previous supply, which should now be turning into demand, was holding up the price of Bitcoin once, twice, and then at the third test, like I said, we create this bullish breakaway gap, confirming the area of support. Now, that means that I'm going to be interested in longs once we take out that liquidity low and we start tapping into this breaker. There's two ways of playing it. There's the way of playing it where we are going to wait for a deviation beneath the mid-range, wait for a reclaim with a bullish break of structure back towards the upside. This is our first long trigger. We long over here, put our stop loss beneath the local low, and our first target is a new all-time high, and obviously afterwards we're going to target way higher levels. This is the first way of playing a potential long on Bitcoin. The second way is simply wait for a test of the breaker block, long the sweep of that low into that breaker, stop loss beneath the retest of that range low level, and as a target, indeed, first target being the range high liquidity pool, offering an RR of 2.23, and eventually we're going to target 80k and maybe even 100k for a much higher RR trade. So guys, two ways of playing Bitcoin. But important is that no matter what way you want to play Bitcoin, both ways offer the equal probability trade in my opinion. But there's just a different execution to it. More importantly is that we are always going to wait for the sell side liquidity to get taken out, because we always want to enter where other people are getting stopped out, right? And we always want to play the highest probability trades out there. Now let's talk a little bit about Ethereum, because Ethereum has been seeing a little bit of weird price action the past week, and it doesn't really surprise me. Because when we look at this daily chart, right, we had this daily Darth Maul candle. We were creating this wick towards the upside, and we were creating this wick towards the downside. Now we know that wicks are a draw on liquidity. Those that are wondering why wicks are a draw on liquidity, next week I will release a video with my wick filling strategy. But what we can see over here is that we first took out the top wick for the draw on liquidity towards the upside, where people are getting always extremely bullish, and now we are moving towards the bottom side of the wick. When we take the 50% wick fill level over here and we extend it to the right, what can we see when we zoom in? We can see that we front ran that 50% wick fill level with this low over here. Now, to me, this was a sign that we could potentially see lower levels before higher targets. What did we do? Eventually, the price was still drawn towards the 50% wick fill level on the daily time frame. It was still drawn towards the liquidity that we had resting over here, and it took it out on Friday evening. Right now, more importantly, what's next for Ethereum? How are we going to position ourselves? Two ways. First way, in my opinion, is that we are going to take out this low over here, or we are going to take out this low over here. This is where we have some more liquidity resting. All right. Now, why is this low over here interesting as well? Because of this fake break of structure. This fake break of structure is engineering liquidity over here. Now let's say we create a fresh low over here. That would mean that all of a sudden the high that brings us to this lower low compared to this low that brought us to that high becomes significant as well. So if we are going to take out that low and afterwards start expanding towards higher levels again and break structure over here, I think we have ourselves a potential long trade. Why? Because at the same time we have this wick over here on the 1 hourly time frame that we are hopefully going to fill for 50% there as well. Fill the wick for 50%, break structure towards the upside, right? Play the higher low over here, okay? Target new all-time highs for Ethereum. Very, very simple. Long the pullback, stop beneath the local low, and as a target, a new all-time high for Ethereum. I think that is around 5K for Ethereum. Let's say we target that area right there. We can see that we are going to get an RR of approximately 14.5. That is a beautiful RR trade. This is the first way that I'm interested in playing Ethereum. Okay. Also, another reason why I'm interested in playing Ethereum that way is because of this range that we have over here. I think we have ourselves a beautiful range right here for Ethereum, right? In which we have swept the range low. We have swept the perfect retest of that range low over here. And right now, if we are going to hold the range low support, we should be expecting the range high. That's the first way that I'm playing Ethereum. That's a lower time frame play, right? A higher time frame on a daily, it is very, very simple to me. On a daily, we are looking at a range over here. Okay. And I'm simply going to wait for a retest of the mid-range. We know, as I've taught you, that I'm only interested in playing potential perfect retest if we have a clean inducement above or below a key range level. We have a beautiful inducement. What I really, really like is that around the mid-range, where we have this very, very bullish daily inverse fair value gap, previous bearish fair value gap has been flipped over here with a very bullish breakaway gap. Now we're going to retest that area, right? We have ourselves a beautiful potential long play towards new all-time highs. This is the higher time frame swing trade, right? Entry at the top of that breakaway gap, of that inversion I mean. Stop loss beneath this bullish candle that you don't want to recover the entire way in my opinion. And then as a target, we're going to target new all-time highs for Ethereum. That offers a beautiful RR of 3.5, which is definitely worth it for a potential swing trade where you can go a little higher on margin compared to day trade. So two potential ways of playing Bitcoin, two potential ways of playing Ethereum, two beautiful charts. A lot of people are getting very, very frustrated at this point. That is exactly what we want to see before potentially reaching higher targets. Now a lost flush would make a lot of sense to me because it would frustrate even more people. Now, if you guys do have any questions after watching today's YouTube video, make sure to leave a like, make sure to ask your questions in the comments down below. And guys, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. And I'll catch you guys on Wednesday's video. Ciao, ciao.